right. Well, here we are. Jarad Medukas. Is that how you pronounce it right?
That is correct.
Okay.
You remember correctly.
I remember correctly. Thank you for coming in. You traveled many miles to come here to talk about your acting career or whatever you want to do. You're an award-winning actor.
Award-winning actor. That's an official title now. It's not Mr. It's award-winning actor.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that and how you got started.
Man, I got started in acting by accident.
Okay.
My kid was involved with theater and stuff in high school, and then they wanted to sort of expand on that and go into local community theater.
Okay.
And they were nervous about getting out there and being around people that they didn't know. So I just went down for moral support.
Yeah.
And they were doing It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play on stage. And they didn't have a whole lot of people that day for auditions. So my kid says, "Hey, why don't you come up and read for some of these parts?" I was like, "Nah, not really. I'm just here for you."
Yeah.
And then, I'm hearing these people, read, and I was like, well, I can read. I read to my kids, for years when they were little, and I always did. Like when we were growing up, we were doing voices. Mm-hmm. We were always doing voices. Different cartoon characters, different movie characters. And I always put that into my reading to my children. So I get up on stage with this script, and they had me read for, half a dozen parts. And I had different voices and inflections for each of the characters that I read for. And, I didn't think anything of it and went back home. I was, rooting for my kid to get a part. And the director called me and said, "Yeah, we'd love to have you to come down and be in the show." And I was like, "Oh no, you've got the wrong number. You want my kid.
Yeah.
That's the one who was wanting to come out." And, no, we want you because you can do different voices, and because it was such a small stage, they double cast actors in roles. So I ended up in It's a Wonderful Life. I played Uncle Buddy, Bert the cop, Martini the bar owner, several other characters. Old man Gower, not Gower, the old guy who yells at him from the porch.
Okay.
But yeah, so I ended up doing like 6 characters in that show, and it was like the perfect introduction for me to being on stage, because it was the radio play version.
Okay.
All the scripts were on stands right there.
Oh, okay.
Because we're doing it like we were in a radio studio in the 40s.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did the play, and
it wasn't like for an audience; it was for a radio.
No. So it was an audience.
Oh, but
so we did it on stage.
Okay.
But we did it in the style of a 40s radio show.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
So all the scripts were right there, and I just had to, remember the voices and inflection and, the blocking of moving around the stage. I didn't really have to memorize all the lines for all these characters. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, it was the perfect way to get the bug of being on stage and acting, and I'm sure applause is addictive.
Yeah.
And
I haven't gotten it yet, so I don't know. Tell me about it.
No, nobody has laughed at your jokes, I'm sure.
No.
Just terrible jokes. But that's what started it off.
Heck yeah.
And I did that, and I was satisfied with it for a time, and that was 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago.
All right. Okay.
And I left it at that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, that was fun. And then the following year, the local theater was doing Clue.
Okay, yeah.
And being a child of the 80s, you know, being that formative years when, you know, pop culture is just, you know, hitting you left and right. You know, 1985, Clue, Tim Curry.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a show that I have emotional attachment to, and I know Tim Curry role.
Yeah.
And I know that I could live up to that. And so I went down and auditioned.
Even though you've only done that one time.
I did the one show and then jumped right into, you know, one of the most dangerous monologues for a second act.
Yeah.
You know, Tim Curry running frantically back and forth through the mansion.
Yeah.
You know, in this case, the stage, and around the audience.
Okay.
To go from room to room to recap the entire story.
Yeah.
With a British accent.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was fantastic. I had just an absolute blast. You know, and you play that Tim Curry role. You know, such an iconic role too, and you get, you know, the accolades, you know, the kudos from the people in the audience, because I don't know if you've been to local theater at all, you know, smaller community theaters.
Not too much, no.
After the show is done, the actors come out to see the audience out the door.
Okay.
So, you know, we see them out and, you know, shaking hands, and everybody's like, oh, you did a great job. And that is what really solidified. It's like, I'm having a lot of fun. I need to do this again. You know, when I took Clue, it was, if I miss this opportunity, I'm going to kick myself. Yeah. You know, I got to at least go down and try.
Yeah.
But after that, I was like, I absolutely have to do more of this.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about, oh man, what's the next role that I want to, you know, what's my dream role at this moment? And I thought, well, I got to play another Tim Curry role, because this one was so fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to do the Rocky Horror Show.
Yeah, right.
And oddly enough, they were doing it in Benton Harbor that fall.
Okay.
So I did Clue early spring.
Yep.
And I was like, I would love to do Rocky
Now,
Horror Show.
was it Clue the one where you had the mustache?
No, that was that. I'm
Okay.
coming up to that.
All right.
So I finished that, and I was like, I would love to do Rocky Horror Show. By the time I found out that they were doing Rocky Horror Show in Benton Harbor, they had already done the auditions. So I missed out on that. And then it came up that Murder on the Orient Express
All right. Yeah.
was coming. And I was like, you know, Hercule Poirot and Agatha Christie story, you know, the iconic role of, you know, Poirot. I was like, I would love to do that. So I signed up for the auditions and was getting all ready to go, and then I had to have an emergency appendectomy.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a Friday morning. I woke up, intense pain. I was like, this is not right. I need to go in. They did the appendectomy that morning.
Oh, yeah.
So I went in at 7 o'clock in the morning. My appendix was out by 10.
Really? Yeah.
Just boom, boom, boom.
Pretty serious, huh?
Yeah. And the audition for Orient Express was that Sunday. I wanted that role so bad, I still went.
Yeah.
So 2 days after my appendix was out, I went and auditioned for Orient Express. And I was like, I did okay. I could have done better. So I went back the next day and auditioned again. Still, still healing from this.
Yeah.
And,
For like a different part, you mean? Or?
No, well, just, it's still for Poirot.
Oh.
Because I really wanted that role.
They don't let you just do one time and then you keep coming back?
Yeah, see, you can audition
Oh.
as many days as you want to. I felt I didn't really do well. Like, I felt I didn't do well the first day.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back the second day and felt I did much better. It was, a couple days later, they offered me the role of Poirot, and I was like, yes, absolutely yes. They're like, you need to do the Belgian accent. Mm-hmm. Belgian being a mix of French, Dutch, and German.
Okay.
And then, of course, doing it in English. So, but there was a lot of research that went into doing that accent.
Okay.
And we'll get you some clips so you can see exactly what that ended up being.
Good evening. The story you are about to witness is one of romance and tragedy, friendly murder, and the urge for revenge. What better way to spend a pleasant evening together?
So I got the role, and it was the following week. My grandmother, you remember Rosie?
Yeah.
Lived down the street from me.
Yeah.
She passed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And that was rough. So there was like a whole week of rehearsal missed there.
Oh.
And then recovered from that as best you can in a week, and then my biggest cheerleader, my advocate, the guy who was just absolutely enthusiastic about me being in theater because he loved it so much. My father-in-law passed.
Oh man. Jeez.
So within the span of 2
Once
weeks,
again, I'm sorry.
two people
man.
that mattered very much, they passed, and I was seriously debating on whether or not I was even gonna continue with this show.
Yeah.
But talking with my wife and various other people, they were like, Roger would have wanted you to do this show, and you've already made the commitment. So you're not starting anything new, but you're following through on that commitment that you made, and that's important.
Yeah.
And so like every rehearsal, every line that I memorized was in his honor, because when he was younger, he was on stage.
Okay.
And he was very enthusiastic, especially, he could come and see me on stage, and he was just like reliving his past stage experience. So he was living vicarious through me, and then when he passed on, it was that honoring his legacy and his enthusiasm for theater, and it wasn't strictly about me anymore. So I put everything I had into that role. I put on a few pounds, for the role, and I grew out the mustache, and it curled nicely. It was gorgeous.
It was awesome. Yes.
Yeah, me and the other cast members named my mustache Arthur. He had his own little sign in on the board, But yeah, that was a tough role, because again, like the entire second act, in any good murder mystery, that's the recap. Mm-hmm. That's when all the pieces come together of the story, and then there's the big reveal at the end. Mm-hmm. So that entire second act is basically just me monologuing for 45 minutes. And yeah, it went really well, and that particular theater.
What theater was this?
That's the Twin City Players.
Okay.
And I've subsequently done more shows with them. I'm coming up on some more stuff, but we'll get to that. But so that theater had its own internal awards. They've got, our best ensemble and our best actor and our best new actor and our best, this and that. And they honored me with the best new actor. So it's only available to people who are on their stage for the first time, which I was. So they gave me best new performer. And then they gave me another one for best performer of the year for that role as Poirot in Murder on the Orient Express. And then the one that actually mattered most, though, all of the cast and crew of their own shows give an award to what they call an unsung hero, and they gave me that award for being helpful and being there early, being present and helpful and cheerful and in my case resilient for everything that happened at the beginning. So I had basically missed 3 weeks of rehearsals because of everything that was going on.
That's something to pull off then.
Too. It was an incredible experience, and that really solidified that theater family for me. In that they would view me that way as somebody who was so new to being on stage. And then as you noted, for the 2024 season, or sorry, 2023 season is what that was for. Broadway World, which is a big theater corporation or some such. They have different regions all over the world for local theaters and big theaters and all that stuff. It's not as big as the Emmys or whatever it is, but it's for all of the South Bend area theaters. That particular show, and somebody put my name in as best performer in a play, and I got that. And then so that was in 2003, but because of the way that their theater seasons work, it starts in like October, and then goes around to the following October. So that play in 2023, Orient Express, was part of the 24 season. And then another show that I was in, Young Frankenstein, which was the first musical that I did, was also nominated for Best Musical, Best Choreography, Best Director, Best Set, Best Ensemble, all these things, and it swept the awards, Young Frankenstein. And in that show, I don't know if you remember Young Frankenstein, the movie with Gene Wilder and all that. I was the blind old hermit.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that was the Gene Hackman character. They wrote that role especially for Gene Hackman because he was like, I just want to be in your movie. And they're like, all right, we'll get you in there. So I played that and just had an absolute blast. And then, like I said, first musical.
Now, what made you want to dip your toes into a musical? Because that's totally different now too.
Yeah, that is completely different. That was a lot of work. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My God, I forgot one other really big one. So after I did Clue, and before Orient Express, there was another project at the Tin Shop Theater in Buchanan called The Normal Heart. The story of that one is It's New York at the very beginning of the AIDS epidemic. And, there's, this mysterious new disease that's rolling through the gay community. And so the director for that show also directed It's a Wonderful Life. So he's like, oh, you got to come down and audition for this show. And I was like, all right, I'll come down. It's like, just to let you know, I'm not gay. I'm happily married, but, I'll play whatever the role demands. And he's like, yeah, no, it's fine. You're going to be great. So he comes, I auditioned, and he's like, you did a great job. We'd like to offer you the lead role. I was like, I would love to accept it. However, this is a gay story. So if you can find a gay actor, I think it would be more authentic to the show. If you can't find anybody to do it, I'll do it. But if you can, I would prefer that, because I'm not gay. It's not my story.
Yeah.
But I will play whatever you
It'd be
want
like
me to play.
Why have someone that's sitting in a wheelchair when you can have an actor that's actually in a wheelchair?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I passed on the lead, but took a secondary character. That role was heavy drama. So I did Wonderful Life, which is sort of touching on some heavy stuff, but more light. And then Clue, which is a comedy that's just wild and zany. And then I play this Bruce Niles character, and about 3/4 through the show, which is already a heavy drama, I've got a monologue where I have to talk about my lover dying, and the journey of him, getting on a plane and shitting himself and losing his mind and forgetting where he's at, and then he gets to the hospital and he dies before he gets there. And they won't do an autopsy because they are afraid of the disease that they know nothing about. An orderly has to stuff him in a trash bag and take him out back. And I am just weeping through this whole thing. I was not ready mentally for something that heavy. I really wish that I had, done a little more research beforehand on how to recover from that properly. Because I still have, I can only describe it as PTSD, talking about that role. If I get into any more detail about that monologue, I start getting choked up. So because I had to run that monologue and just let it all out, and then go backstage, get my shit together, and get back on stage in under 2 minutes for my next scene. So I never had time to recover from that. And it still affects me when I go into detail about the monologue. I've since, practiced being able to, all right, differentiate and not put too much of my own self in it or take on too much of the character, so that it sticks with you. And that role sticks with you.
I would never have really
Yeah,
expected or thought that. I mean, maybe I would think it is like a movie.
Yeah, they do
but
have
not, let's say a play where you're.
Yeah, they do have a movie out that has Mark Ruffalo as the main character.
Oh, I've seen. I know what that movie is.
Yeah.
I've seen. I've not seen it, but I know.
Yeah, do watch it.
Okay.
It's a great movie. Be aware though. And be aware though, the first 2 minutes of that movie, it's just dicks, because they go into the lifestyle of the early 80s in the gay scene in New York and in Fire Island, where it is just let it all hang out. I made the mistake of doing my research just before my kids got home from school. I pushed play on the movie. I was like, oh, and then, hi, we're home. I was like, I'm not looking at dicks. Yeah, but that role taught me a lot about putting your history and your actual memories into a role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what it takes to actually put yourself into that position so that you can put the emotion into it. Which, again, helped me a lot going into Orient Express.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so coming off of Orient Express, I took a break because doing 3 shows, you know, big roles that quickly.
How many shows would you put on once you do your? Is it like a week show? I forget how that.
So for any particular run, it's typically 3 shows. So a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday.
Okay.
For 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's good.
Yep. And you get anywhere between 6 to 9 weeks of rehearsal.
Okay.
To memorize all your lines and your blocking and you know get the costumes and you know all that stuff.
How many like time is your practice time? You said 6 to
Yeah,
9, but it was like hour, couple hours.
Right.
Like,
So
runs
it's
through everything?
depending on the director.
Okay.
You know, I've done a couple shows. It's like, yeah, we're gonna meet twice a week for a couple hours, and then I've worked with other directors. It's like, yeah, we're gonna do Monday through Friday, and it's 3 hours, 4 hours, and that's a hectic schedule.
Yeah.
And it surprises me that people with actual jobs still want to do community theater because that's a big commitment.
Yeah, it is.
Depending on the script will sort of dictate how long of a schedule you need, right? So with
Yeah, I guess that would.
yeah, so like with the first show, we did that for I think it was 6 weeks
Okay.
because everything was going to be right there on stage.
Mm-hmm.
With Clue, we had 9 weeks because there's a lot of blocking. Your room here is about 3 times bigger than the stage.
All right. Yeah.
So, and not much deeper.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of working out how to make this very small stage into a 12-room mansion.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of stuff rotating, and like I said, we were running around the audience. And then
You have like your not to cut you off.
no, go for
But
it.
like
Go.
your costume or designer or your set designers, are they all like with you too, and you're planning out, and you're like,
Yeah, so
or
that's
do they have their own little?
yeah.
stuff?
They have their own stuff that they're working on, leading up to where they're actually bringing set pieces in and trying on costumes, that kind of thing. So they're working on it. For like set design and the feel of what it's going to look like. They're working on these things a couple of months before the auditions even start.
Oh, all right.
So these are big projects
Yeah.
for the directors and the technical directors and the backstage managers and lighting and sound and all these things. They're working on it long before the auditions begin.
Okay, all right, yeah.
So I took a break.
Okay.
And the following Christmas, so that was October, and so the Christmas that year, the lighting guy who has been director, he's been with Twin City Players for years and years. He asked me to be in a small 10-minute playwright showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And that was at the Acorn Theater in Three Oaks,
Okay.
which is down between Buchanan and New Buffalo. And that was that was a pretty good little drama. You know, a 10-minute play. So it's just one scene, just real fast. We met, I think, twice a week.
Okay.
For about 4 weeks.
Okay.
And you know, it just showcased local playwrights at a local theater. But you know, the talent that comes out for even, you know, small stuff like that is fantastic. And surprisingly, that was the biggest audience that I had played to up until that point. Like the Tin Shop Theater in Buchanan has about 70 seats.
Okay.
Twin City Players is about 130 seats. And then this showcase at the Acorn is more of a concert venue. So they had somewhere between 200 and 300 people in there.
Okay.
You know, it's a bigger place. They just pack them in.
Yeah.
So that was nice to sort of get that exposure to a larger audience. And
That seemed a little.
it was a little weird at first,
Oh
you know.
my God, that's a lot of people.
You know, you walk into the space and you're like, oh, this is bigger than what.
It's different when you're practicing, you know, your weeks before
Yeah.
going around.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we would just practice in the director's office or whatever. And then, yeah, so, you know, we had fun with that. And, you know, I continued to just sort of, all right, what's the next project? I'm not sure. And then, you know, all these other great shows were going on with all the people that I had met up to that point. And, you know, so I'd go see their shows and I'm like, man, I gotta get back in there, you know? So I did a show called Rumors.
Okay.
Which was written by Neil Simon, who did The Odd Couple.
Yep.
You remember that
Yep.
old TV show?
Yep.
So he did wrote for, you know, comedy TV back in the 80s, 90s kind of thing. But this was his only what's called a farce.
Okay.
It's where the elite are brought down to the common folk level, right? It's like, yes, they might be wealthy, but they're just people.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put them in a ridiculous situation and go, yeah, see, they wouldn't do any better than us common folk. And that's what farces have historically been, is a way to humanize the elites. So that was a fantastic ensemble cast. The director for that was the same guy who wanted me to do the 10-minute play. And that was my first real step into picking up the comedic timing, you know, picking up my chops in comedy.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing the funny things without saying anything.
Yeah.
And for half the show, my character is deaf because a gunshot has gone off next to his head.
Yeah.
And so, you know, being mostly deaf myself at this point, it wasn't too much of a stretch. You just go, what? Oh, what? You know, and God, that show was so much fun.
Heck yeah.
Because it was so fast, you know.
Yeah.
You know, everything else I had done before that had timing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but this one was just such a fast-paced comedy that, you know, you just had to be on your toes. Didn't matter what was happening.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of door slamming. We slammed the door so much that the molding that they put up on there was popping off.
Yeah.
At one point, I slammed the door and I could hear it slapping back.
Yeah.
You know, this long strip of molding. So I had to open the door slowly. I reached out, sort of plucked it off and pulled it back. So all the audience sees just one little hand come out, take the molding off and close the door again. Yeah, so just more fun with that. And then the dream role after Clue came up again.
Yeah.
Rocky Horror Show.
Horror.
And this is still, 6 months out
Yeah.
from the show, and which is what they had done the previous year, which made me miss the audition.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like the universe was like, no, just hold on a second.
That's how it works.
You're not ready yet.
Yeah.
And then it came around the following year, and it's like,
Now you're ready.
now's your shot, buddy.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I have to at least audition.
Yeah.
I never really seen myself as a singer. I always thought I can carry a tune in a bucket, but it's not like, yes, singing is my natural calling.
Yeah.
But I would have kicked myself if I hadn't at least tried. So I did the audition, they like, sing a song and, do a monologue. And
Real quick now, not to cut you off again, but just how do you just pick what player or, performance you want? Or
Right,
how
so,
do they do that? And then,
for musicals, it's, well, for every director.
real quick, just add on. How did then you get like this wording, but it's musical, so do you have to then know how to interpret how this is supposed to be sung?
Yeah, so luckily the Rocky Horror Show has 50 years of history.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, yeah.
So
it makes it a little easier, but
so there's a lot to reference.
Yeah.
Plus the movie, obviously,
I've
iconic.
never seen it, so yeah.
Oh, by the gods, man!
I always thought you had to go to the theater and watch it. With like a crazy event and where you got dressed up and so
That
it
is
was like a late night show always. I thought
that is certainly one of the best ways to see it.
okay, that's why I thought the only way to see it.
Right. So if you watch the movie, on whatever streaming service, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna be like, that was just a good time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And the way that they thread this story together, it's like, I don't know if I'm buying this, but if you can put that, get your suspension of disbelief, and just sort of be in it for what it is, just pure,
I know it's
80s camp.
it's not normal. I know that.
Yeah, it is ridiculous, and it is wild, and it is the most fun
Okay, yeah.
you'll ever have.
So what part did
Seeing
you
the
try?
show.
You tried the lead.
The lead role, the Tim Curry role, Dr. Frankenfurter,
Okay.
and
Now, would you have to wear like the fishnet stockings?
oh yes,
So that and all that.
yeah, I've got the photos.
So now you ruined the surprise. You got the part then.
I got the part.
Okay, all right. You got.
So, they're like, they had the license for, I don't know how many years, but more than one season. So the previous year, they had 2 people playing the part of Frankenfurter. They would alternate
Okay.
days.
Yeah.
Which
Makes sense.
which they were doing again that year. And so I was doubled up as Frankenfurter with one of the guys who had done it the year before. And just a fantastic time with Rocky Horror Show. And like I said, I never fancied myself a singer, but I knew that if I didn't at least audition for this role that was so iconic, I would have kicked myself.
Yeah.
And just what if?
Yeah.
And the director, trusted in my ability enough to go, yeah, let's do this.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and
That helps confidence too, as well.
it does. It does. So they give me that role, and I'm like, all right, I got to focus 100% on this. So I'm listening to the soundtracks, and I'm, researching, what Tim Curry put into it, and all the stuff that he was talking about on that, and I start getting nervous.
Yeah.
Because all right, this is huge, 50 years of history, people going, like you said, to the theater, all dressed up. This is their life.
Yeah.
This is
he like trying to mess up Star Wars. If you make one thing wrong,
yeah.
I
mean, yeah. With the directors of Star Wars, they mess some stuff up, and people let them know.
Yeah.
The prequels, and the new trilogy, and shows that just didn't do it well. People will let you know. They're very vocal about it. So I was like, I've got to do something to get myself ready for this role. Not just research and practice, but I got to get some on stage experience. That brings us to Young Frankenstein, which was also a musical. And I was like, okay, that's coming out before Rocky Horror. So I can get some experience singing on stage like that. But I knew that I wasn't ready for the Gene Wilder role. I was like, I need something smaller just to get my feet wet. And that brings me to the Blind Hermit.
Okay, yeah.
The Gene Hackman character in the movie. And, the director was like, let's get you, do some ensemble work. I went to the auditions, and I bombed. Like the acting portion, I was cool with. The dancing portion, I was like, all right, I didn't totally screw this up. And then they're like, all right, time for you to come up and sing your song, guy. There was a Danny Kaye movie from years and years ago called The Court Jester.
Okay.
And I was like, this is the song that will sort of get me into that sort of comedic role, but still sort of showcase that, yes, I can do quick dialogue and that stuff. And I practiced that song for 3 weeks, and I had it down in my head. And I've got my sheet music ready to go. I don't read music. So I was just going completely off.
That's where I was asking, how do you...
Yeah, I don't read music at all. Like, I can look at the music and go, oh, well, these notes are going up, so that must mean it's going higher. These ones are going down, that must mean lower. That was the extent of my knowledge of reading sheet music. But, I printed out the music for this song, and it's got all the information that you need right on it for the accompanist. And she goes, okay, what tempo are we at? I was like, well, I'm going through the song in my head. What tempo are we at? I was like, well, it's there on the music. She goes, well, what do you want? I go, what's there, She goes, well, just give me some, and that's what I'll do. I go, oh, okay. Well, it kind of goes. She goes, okay, I got it. So she starts playing, doing her thing, and I start singing, and I get through the first line. I was like, all right, that was good. Second line. What's the second line? Shit, I better pick up where I can. All right, third line. I got that. Okay, here we go. Fourth line. I get about halfway through that. I'm like, it's gone.
Oh, man.
It's all gone. Sixth line comes in. I got nothing. 7th line. I start picking up. I'm like, I think I got an 8th line. I'm like, I've lost it. I have nothing left. I'm done here. Thank you. A good day. To my credit, though, the director I had worked with before, and so at some of the after show parties, you know, the cast party or whatever, we did karaoke. So he had actually heard me sing before and knew that I wasn't just total shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, you want the small role of the hermit? We'll give you that. I was like, thank you. And I'll have clips for you on that. But that really taught me.
You have video clips?
I do have video of these things.
We'll play a little clip here.
That's right. Watch this.
Hello, stranger. My name is Harold. What's your name? Ah! Sorry, I didn't get that. Oh, forgive me. I didn't realize you were mute. An incredibly large mute. Come inside out of the cold. Come to the table. Make yourself comfortable. Sit here. Or maybe... Here we are. Nice, hot, boiling soup. Pull out your bowl. And now I know. Let's celebrate. I've been saving a special bottle of wine for just such an occasion. It's a Gewürztraminer Schwarzenkeller Spätlese, 1905. Let me pour you some. No. Don't drink yet. First we must toast to our wonderful new friendship. To us. And now, I know. An after dinner surprise. Cigars. There you go. Flair is good. Flair is very good. Flair is our friend. Here, let me show you. There, you see? Fire is good. Fire is very good. Now, you have yours. Let me lay it for you. Hold it out, just like that. Now, don't inhale until the tip glows. No.
Hilarious, yes. So that particular role taught me that you don't have to really sing great. Mm-hmm. You have to sing as your character.
Okay, yeah.
And so if you can pull off the character singing,
Mm-hmm.
you're golden.
Okay.
And you know, there was some other ensemble stuff. You know, you walk on stage and you know, you just do a couple of easy dance steps and you know, sing along and ta-da. But that was fun because you know it gave me some more comedic timing. Mm-hmm. And really just working with unexpected situations. Mm-hmm. The second night of that show, the props guys are setting up my scene, mm-hmm. and there's the iconic cigars mm-hmm. at the end of Blind Hermit scene, and the cigars are supposed to be up on this shelf. Well, as they're bringing everything out, they weren't on the shelf. I start to panic. Just like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? There's no, like, I'm blind, not looking at the shelf. I'm like, they're not there. I go back the other way. They're not there either. And I turn to make up something, and I see the cigars in what's supposed to be the pot of soup. So I go over there and I just start fishing around in the soup, being blind, just looking off into nowhere. And I go, oh, there they are. And cigars, you know. And the audience loved it. They thought that was planned. They thought it was hilarious. And they just ate it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, whew. You know, I played it off and got off stage. And I was like, oh my God. Just, you know, just
Heck yeah.
how to sort of roll with the stuff on stage that you don't plan for. There's a lot of times where, you know, there's a line that gets dropped or a couple words or something in a sentence, and the audience doesn't know. They don't have the script in front of them. You know, so they're like, that seemed a little weird, but all right, whatever, we'll move on. And the actor is like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that line. That's stupid. And they beat themselves up.
But that's only going to mess you up for more stuff. You just got to
exactly
just go.
You laugh it off and you go, I'm not going to do that tomorrow. You know? And it was never the same thing twice. So yeah, that got my feet wet for singing on stage and how to project, you know, the voice and you know, where to sing from and how to, you know, manipulate your voice to make it sound right, which I had no idea. You know, everybody sings in the car, you know, or, you know, people sing in the shower or whatever, and they're just singing along to their favorite songs. It's a lot different when you get up on stage and it's you. You know, I definitely give a lot of credit to real musicians, you know, not just some schmuck up on stage going, someone, I need someone. You know, I'm like, yay, I did it. So yeah, then that goes from that into to the Rocky Horror Show, where, I mean,
so how did you said you had it with another person, so would they just
so
take a day, or
so
is it in the middle of the show even?
No, it's you know, you do it the one day and then he does it the next day, and then I do it the day after that. And so Rocky Horror, that was a really big schedule, because for most of the shows that I did, it was 3 weeks, 3 shows a week, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rocky Horror was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for 3 weeks, which is a big change. So he did opening night.
Is that one show a night then?
Yep, it's one show a night. So he did the other guy did the opening night, which was a Thursday, and that was the first real instance of me realizing that not every show sells out. Right? It's not always a full house. I had never done a Thursday show.
Oh, okay.
Every show that I had done beforehand was 3 shows. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the houses are packed. Right? At least very full. And this was at the Ghostlight Theater in Benton Harbor, and they have a little over 100 seats that they can fill in there. And Thursday show, opening night, we're all excited. It's like half full. I was like, what is this? What? I've never seen this. I didn't know that was a thing, which just, you know, shows my overall inexperience, because I'd only been doing theater for 3 years, 2.5 at that point. So I was, you know, a little nervous about my show the next night. I was like, I couldn't process that it wasn't a full house. My show comes, it's a full house. And I'm like,
because your name's on the bill.
Well, obviously. No, no, but you know, it's a Friday night. Everybody comes out Friday night. So I got lucky in that he went first, and I got the weekend show.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is fantastic. Wait a minute, it's a full house. This is my first time being a lead in a musical.
In a full house.
In my underwear. In high heels. What am I doing? You know? I've got great pictures for you here. But I got out there and I did my thing, and you know it's weird, you know. I'm sure at some level you've experienced that initial nervousness before you walk on stage. I have the advantage in that when I go on stage, I'm not me.
Yeah.
Right, and this has actually helped me more, and I'll get into that in a minute, but helped me more being on stage because I'm not me.
Yeah.
Right, I'm a character,
Mm-hmm.
and I've spent the last 8 weeks delving into that character and getting into their mind and going, all right, as soon as you step out there, that's not you.
Yeah.
You need to be that character and portray that character. And that character owns that fucking stage.
Yeah. Doesn't give a shit about your feelings.
Exactly. And especially with an iconic character like Frankenfurter, he is all about confidence and just owning shit. Yeah. And he doesn't give a damn what you're doing. He's like, we're doing this, take your pants off.
So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation. But maybe the rain is really to blame. So I'll remove the cause. But not the symptom!
You know? And that's in the show. So you get out there and you do your thing the best you can, and they liked it.
Heck yeah.
And I had a blast. It was fun after the show. You know, like I said, with the smaller theaters,
mm-hmm.
the actors come back out and interact with the audience.
Yeah.
You know, there's family members, there's neighbors, there's community members who know you, and they come out and they're like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Yeah, I've never even thought of you wearing fishnet stockings, or you know, having a mustache, or you know, being blind and you know, pouring hot soup in a Frankenstein's monster, his crotch. So, you know, they come out, and again, it's the Rocky Horror Show.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people who have seen the Rocky Horror Show
mm-hmm.
dozens of times, hundreds of times.
Mm-hmm.
The best compliments that you get are the ones from these people who that's their church.
Yeah.
Right? That's for 50 years, you know, they've been going every chance they get to see this show.
Yeah.
And they come up to you afterwards and they say something like, I saw this show on Broadway and you were just as good.
Heck yeah.
And even better than that, though, I had one older lady who came up and she said, when you finished singing your last song, the I'm Going Home, right? The last big number for Frankenfurter. When you finished singing that song, I just wanted to come down there and give you a hug because I felt what you were feeling.
Oh, yeah.
And that is that's the huge compliment from any show,
yeah.
or whatever, when somebody says, you made me feel something.
Yeah.
You touched my heart, or you made me laugh, or just you made that connection.
Yeah.
And you're like, I did that.
Yeah, that's great.
I did do that.
Yeah. I think it's just, if you can take someone out of their reality of what this madness world is, even for, the short time I'm on stage, that's why I try and, think of it, but yeah, that's really something. If you can take someone of all the madness that's going on out of that and then into a different thought.
Yeah.
Like you said, bring it in.
They feel that empathy or sympathy even.
Yeah.
That has them connecting with the character you're portraying and feeling something for that made up person.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then after, seeing that character, like you said, in so many different fashions and roles and big screen plays and professional plays and big town plays.
Yeah, huge productions.
To then come to you and say you're same as them, if not better, that's...
Yeah, I don't know about better, but I'll take just as,
I said I only bring the best here. So...
That's right.
It's got to be better. I haven't seen anybody in Broadway here, so...
That's right. Eat your heart out, Broadway. That'll come back to haunt me, I'm sure. So yeah, just being able to sort of get the audience to feel something like that. Mm-hmm. Even that, I think, is more addicting than just the applause.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. The show's over. Yay! Great job, everybody. But when you can look in the audience and see their faces as you're pouring your heart out, and you see them crying, laughter is a lot of times sort of a knee-jerk reaction. Right? People laugh when they're uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. People laugh if they see something silly. Mm-hmm. But, that's, I think, more of a reflex than an emotion. Mm-hmm. You can laugh and not be happy. Mm-hmm. You can laugh and not feel the joy that a character is portraying. Yeah.
But to have tears,
that is a visceral, emotional response. Yeah. And to be able to pour yourself out onto the stage in such a way to provoke that, that's a high compliment, and that is more addicting than applause.
Yeah, that's great.
So that brings me to the show I'm in currently.
Okay.
This one is called A Measure of Cruelty.
Measure of Cruelty.
Yes, and it is just as deep as it sounds. Okay. So this is for something called ACT Fest. AACT Fest. It's a nationwide group for community theater actors. and playwrights and such. And so they have a competition. So this is a competition that I'm entering now, and we'll be at Bay City, at the Bay City Players Theater, for the state competition, and we're going on March 1st, so next weekend, next Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, so we just did 2 shows at Twin City Players, who's sponsoring our submission into Act Fest. We just did 2 shows last night and Friday, and we got great feedback, and we're sort of dialing it in for next week's actual competition performance. Getting audience response. We have a question and answer after the show. We asked the audience, what did you like about it? What didn't you like? What worked? What didn't? Did you understand the plot? Because these script submissions are edited, because we have 60 minutes to perform this show. We have to take our set with us to Bay City. We have 10 minutes to put our set together on stage. We have 60 minutes to perform. We have 10 minutes to break our set down and put it back in its 10 by 10 square.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like a big space, but we pack a lot of set into that.
Is that so they kind of limit to what you can use? So
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can't bring, 1,000 feet of scenery and furniture and props and, set decorations, because
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah, it is. Confining it to a small space really gets the director and the actors and the set designers thinking about what is absolutely necessary to put on this show, because it is supposed to be a competition of acting and about the script, right? So that's the focus, is the script and the play and how well the actors portray it. It isn't about big flashy scenes and light schemes and pyrotechnics and whatever special effects you can put in there. It's about the acting.
Yeah.
So this particular show centers on 3 characters in a bar. There's the Teddy, the owner of the bar, who has renamed the bar after his son, who passed away some years before. His other son, Buddy, that's me, who is a veteran of Afghanistan and has his own, PTSD stuff going on, and a young man who Teddy and Buddy have known since he was a baby, who has committed a horrific act, right, of bullying. And it's about the 3 of them coming to terms not only with what has happened with this horrific crime, but coming to terms with each other and the views of masculinity that they all grew up with. What it means to be a man in not only today's climate, but internally as well. So there's there's a lot of aggression.
Hmm.
There's a lot of introspection. There's a lot of emotion, and you know, it goes back to pouring your heart out on stage and getting the audience to feel for that character. Even if the character isn't ready or willing to change in a positive way. You know, there's a whole monologue that I have to do, where again, I am just bearing it all on stage and just openly weeping.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. Crazy.
But you know, as a veteran myself, and
You're a veteran?
yeah,
I
did a stint in the Air Force.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Well,
Well, thank you for your service.
Roger,
I didn't know.
Roger.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so
Did you do it way after?
no, it was towards the tail end of Desert Storm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
So, you know, got the Desert Storm badge, look at it. But, you know, a lot of people, and it's totally their prerogative, put a lot of weight behind having served. And that's fine. There's a lot of personal connection and a lot of formation of who you are and who you will become when you're serving. For a lot of people who are not career military, it's a very short time that you're actually in. And a lot can happen, and there's no doubt, and I don't downplay the role that military service, and especially those who were in combat, I don't downplay how that affects them, or however much pride that gives them in their day-to-day lives. Because there's no doubt that serving in the military affects you forever.
God, man. Yeah.
But my own perspective for my own service is that I wasn't in combat. And, you know, I didn't do great and brave and heroic things. And for me to parade around with some sort of false bravado, I feel like that lessens the impact that the people who did have combat and did have, you know, Purple Hearts and, you know, save their squad members, you know, and did things that, you know, nobody should really have to do.
Yeah, that's...
You know, I personally downplay my own service because it doesn't measure up to the guys who really were in the shit.
I think that's just honorable for you even to think that, but I, as this person that never got to be able to because of my medical condition, I just think, you know, you put yourself on a line to give your life.
But yeah, so I
understand what you're saying, but
yeah, for me personally,
you're being very,
you know, I don't walk around,
yeah, I hear
you know, wearing the hat and, you know, I got my medals on my chest all the time, you know, look, I got my ribbon.
Yeah.
But, you know, for the people that do,
yeah, I hear you.
they do it because it is a source of pride for them.
Oh, yeah.
And there is no downplaying what they gave and what they went through. I have a lot of community events down where I'm at. Being a tribal citizen, married to another tribal citizen, in the tribes, the veterans and those warriors are revered, right? And rightfully so.
Definitely.
But again, I'm not part of their warrior societies, because there is more to my life than just the time that I served.
Yeah.
So, I don't readily volunteer, but when it comes right down to it, if they need somebody to walk that flag in, they know that they can call on me. I'm going to continue to fulfill that duty and that role as that a veteran and a warrior for the tribal community, without ego getting involved.
What tribe are you from then?
So I'm from Little River Band, that is Odawa from up in Manistee.
Okay.
And my wife is Pokagon, Potawatomi, that's from down in the Dowagiac area. And we live down in the Dowagiac area now, so I'm involved a lot with her tribe and different ceremonial functions. And
Did you guys meet at a?
That's another good story. So she grew up here in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And when I was getting involved with the Native community here, she was already involved. She probably hate me saying this, but when we met, she was part of the youth council, group, the tribal youth group, and I was older, but I was in another relationship, so I didn't actually look at her. She was 14 the first time I met her, and I was 23. But I never looked at her as, oh yes, what an attractive young lady.
Four more years.
Yeah, no. So it was never like that. She was just part of the community, and she would sing because I was with a native drum called Awashtadong Chungaming, which is the Grand River singers there. And so she was just another community member, right? She was just present. Fast forward another 10 years, and I've had 2 kids with my first wife, and recently divorced, and
okay.
And then
How long were you married then?
I was married for 7 years.
Okay. And you have the 2 kids?
Yep, two kids from the first marriage. And then Facebook comes out, Goddamn Facebook.
Yeah, I tell you.
And so, it's like, oh yes, you might know this person, you might know, it's everybody. It's like, ah, yes, I know that person. Yes, I accept your friend,
Yeah.
So, actually, let me back that up. First, it was MySpace.
Oh,
You remember MySpace?
Yeah.
Goddamn Mike. So yeah, we were friends on MySpace, and then Facebook comes out, and we're friends on Facebook, and just one day it pops up in the feed, oh yeah, we went out last night, we had a great time. She had posted this with her friends, and it's like, oh yes, I know you, you're my friend's sister, and I've known you for 10 years. Ah, I'm glad you had a great time. Next time you go out, hit me up. I'd like to have fun too. And didn't think anything of it. Because, you know, a couple other people had responded the same way. So...
No one actually follows up on anything.
Right, nobody follows up on these things. So, fast forward to a couple of weeks later. Hey, we're getting a group together. You want to come out? Sure, what the hell? We go out to Mulligan's?
Yeah.
Mulligan's, yeah. And I get there. Turns out I'm the first one there, so I'm like, all right, I'll just have a seat here. Hey, I'm here. Let me know when you're getting here, when you guys are getting here. And she walks in the door a little while later. We're chit-chatting. And then it's like a half an hour later. Nobody else has shown up. I'm like, where's everybody else? Oh, well, so-and-so had a thing come up, and this other person, they're not feeling well, and this other person, oh, they got some sewing to do before the powwow tomorrow, and everybody else had an excuse.
Yeah.
Started to feel like a setup. So I'm like, well, this place is, you know, Mulligan's is sort of loud and rowdy, you know. And I was like, oh, let's go across the street to Billy's.
Okay, yeah.
So we went over there and listened to some blues for the evening, and you know, the evening got done, and we went our separate ways. And I said, like, I had fun. We should do this again. And she said, yeah, we should do this again. I said, how about next Friday? She goes, yeah. I said, all right, it's a date. And that was that, man.
Been that ever since, huh?
That's right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, God, it's been 15 years?
15 years with her now?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Now, did you guys have kids too, or?
No, she had 2 kids from a previous relationship, and so we got 4 together.
Are they out living well with you, or?
We have 1 left at home.
Okay.
Everybody else has moved out in college and
That's good.
You know, trying to figure life out.
Yeah, yeah.
We got 1 left in high school. He's got a couple of years left. But yeah, so you know that was how we met.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Everything's going good though.
Yeah.
No one showed up that day. Otherwise, it could have been different if someone.
It very well could have been.
It's weird how life.
And I swear to this day, she set me up.
Yeah. She's like, all right, everyone, don't show up. He's coming.
Yep. Yeah. So you have your health issues.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have my health issues.
Okay.
At 32, I started showing signs for Parkinson's.
Okay.
And so from 2006 to 2018,
All right.
it went misdiagnosed.
Oh, wow.
So it with young onset Parkinson's, which is basically any Parkinson's.
See, I'm not even familiar.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anything that starts before 65
Okay.
is considered young onset Parkinson's.
Okay.
Everybody knows Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
You know,
That's Parkinson's.
that's
Okay.
Parkinson's. So he's been living with it for years, and for you know the first several years that he was diagnosed,
Mm-hmm.
he did a pretty good job of hiding it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And then of course everybody remembers he came out and was like, oh, I got Parkinson's. And everybody's like, what?
Yeah, yeah.
But then you know you look back at the footage that he shot for TV shows, and you go, oh, I see it. Yeah, I see exactly. You know,
Okay.
you know, because for him, it was I think it was his left side that it was more dominant on, and so he always had his hand in his pocket, or he was always fidgeting with something, you know, to cover on screen
Okay.
the tremors,
Okay.
because he was very tremor centric as far as how his symptoms presented.
Now, exactly, again, what is,
what's
going on again?
So Parkinson's neurological disorder that affects your motor functions.
Okay.
You know, your balance in how you walk. Basically anything that involves muscle control, it can affect that.
Okay.
So whether it's how quickly you can move, how coordinated you can move,
Okay.
even, you know, facial expressions.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, a lot of folks with Parkinson's will have what's called a mask, where everything just kind of hangs, right? There's not a lot of expression because the muscles just don't work that way anymore. And then there's, you know, obviously the tremors, which is the most recognized symptom. And I do have that, you know, it's.
I was gonna say, I haven't noticed anything.
So I take the medications.
Okay, there's medication.
That controls it
Okay.
for the most part. You know, as the medication starts to wear off, you know, the symptoms will come back.
Is it like a pill then? Or?
Yeah, so it is some pills that are what's generally done. There are some side medications that you can take before you take the carbidopa levodopa combination that are good in sort of slowing the progress, but nothing currently can actually stop it.
Because it's incurable, right?
Right. Currently, it is incurable. You know, the Michael J. Fox Foundation has made great strides. You put up the little sign for Michael J. Fox Foundation. You know, donations here.
Yes.
So yeah, there's no cure yet, but they've made great strides in finding out what in the brain actually causes Parkinson's. You know, they just last year discovered the genetic markers that says, this person has Parkinson's. Whereas before it was, for the most part, clinical diagnosis. You know, where the doctor would go through their list of symptoms and severities and go, yeah, it's probably Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And then there's one other test to sort of coincide with that clinical diagnosis called a DAT scan, which they could figure out how much dopamine you have in your brain. It's radioactive and very expensive, and that's what they use to confirm my diagnoses of Parkinson's.
Okay.
And then they put me on the medications, and just like that,
You've been better, yeah.
it was a night and day difference. So I had gotten to a point before the diagnoses, the correct diagnoses, where I was walking with a cane.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's plenty of pictures where I'm just like, look at my cane. So I had really cool, stylish canes, you know, carbon fiber, and you know, it was awesome. But you know, they put me on the right medications, and within 3 weeks, I could, you know, coordinate my movement. I wasn't afraid to, you know, it's like every day before that, it's like, all right, I really got to be careful because I can wipe out any second.
Yeah, yeah.
And then 3 weeks after the medication, I was like, I am feeling really good. Like, I got my coordination back.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, I don't need this cane anymore. I hung on to it for like another 3 months.
Yeah.
Because it's like that security blanket, right?
Plus, it makes you look cool.
It did make me look cool as shit. You know, big pimpin' right there, you know. but yeah, eventually I ditched the cane and, you know, just really started working on getting back to a place where I was coordinated.
Did you have to like physical therapy stuff? Or were you able to do it on yourself?
Yeah, I did it on my own.
Okay.
I've always sort of been that person who's just like, I know how my body works, you know?
Yeah,
I can do this.
Yeah. How long did it take for when you were first, noticed that you had this, something's going on? Was it like years or you're going, something ain't?
So it was pretty quick.
What was it?
Yeah. So I, like, the first part that I felt was like a weakness to my grip.
Like you lose something, drop
Yeah, it's like dropping shit left and right. It's like, what the hell's going on here? And so, you know, they're like, yes, you probably have some sort of neuropathy. Here's some medicine for it.
Yeah.
Didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, let's try this medicine. Not a goddamn thing. It's just nothing but side effects.
Yeah.
And nothing that was really helping. And so my first symptoms started in 2006.
Okay.
I wasn't diagnosed properly with Parkinson's until 18.
Oh, so there was quite a long
So
time.
it was a stretch.
Yeah.
And then by that point, it had gotten bad, right? Because I wasn't on the proper medications to slow it down.
Yeah.
And so there was a secondary diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment, which is not uncommon with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
You know, which another sort of subsect of Parkinson's is called Lewy body dementia.
Oh yeah, I've heard. That's
Which you might have heard Robin
Robin
Williams. Yeah. And so, you know, that's like the biggest fear that I have of
They said
living with no. So that was always my biggest fear, is that I would end up with that.
Okay.
Especially once the secondary diagnoses of, you know, some mild cognitive impairment came into play. And you know, my neurologist, bless her, she's like, just relax. That is not as common as you think, even though, you know, that's the one that everybody talks about as, you know, worst case scenario. It's like there's really not a ton of people out there with that sort of path of Parkinson's. And I was like, okay, that's good. She goes, but in the meantime, you know, we have programs for people with Parkinson's to help them sort of mitigate the symptoms of these things.
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of programs out there. There's they call it one program, BIG, which is a lot to do with coordination and movement, because a lot of the disconnect from the brain to the muscle comes with smaller, finer movements. And so you'll see Parkinson's people, you know, with Parkinson's, they'll have a shuffling step or a non-regular gait, you know, how they walk. You know, they'll be walking fine one second, then it's like a little stumble, and they're walking fine and then a little stumble, and little side steps or smaller steps, bigger steps, that kind of thing. So it focuses, that big program focuses it on using larger muscle groups rather than the finer motor skill muscle groups to help sort of move in a more fluid way. The second program is called LOUD, which because your vocal cords are controlled by muscles.
Yeah.
A lot of people with Parkinson's will have a softer voice. It'll start to turn into more of a whisper and more breathy.
Okay.
And so you want to have a bigger voice so that you can actually communicate properly, which that was becoming an issue for me working. Is, you know, people would, you know, I'd have meetings with somebody and I'd, you know, tell them about whatever project we're working on, and it was a lot of what? Because my voice was shrinking because the muscles weren't working properly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's the looks that you get is, you know, you're trying to do your thing and, you know, your hands are shaking or your head starts moving when you don't want it to, or, you know, you're stumbling when everybody's walking down a hallway, you know. So there's that deconstruction of confidence as you're trying to hide all of these things from the people around you. You know, my coworkers don't need to know shit.
Yeah.
This is not their problem. I'm not going to make it their problem.
Yeah.
And so living through all of that really made it difficult to work. A third program that helps out folks with Parkinson's is Rocksteady. Rocksteady Boxing. A bunch of people with Parkinson's swinging gloves, you know? And it sounds hilarious, but it really does incorporate that coordination, you know, in constantly using those muscle groups in a deliberate way.
Okay.
You know, we go through our day and, you know, we pick up our can here and, you know, we take a drink and we take it for granted, right? Folks with Parkinson's, they go, all right, I'm going to get a drink now. And we got it. Okay, we got it. Hang on to it, hang on to it, hang on to it. You know, everything that we do has to be deliberate.
Okay, yeah.
Because if we're not thinking about it, then the symptoms...
The cup slipping out of your hand.
Right, the symptoms go to default settings and go, maybe the muscles work. I don't know. Let's find out.
Yeah, yeah.
So those three programs are fantastic.
Yeah.
And the whole mild cognitive impairment makes remembering things more difficult. Even finding words. You know, you try and say something that you've said a million times, you know, and you can't remember the word for neon light.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the thing that it's great. It's got the letters in it.
See, I feel you keep on describing all these things. I feel like stuff is slipping out of my hands pretty easy. I shuffle. I can't walk. I don't know.
So part
I
of
can't
that,
think of words.
part of that is just getting old, obviously. But,
yeah, I am 50. Going to be 52 this year.
yeah, aren't we both?
Yeah.
Which is why being on stage in theater has been my program for Parkinson's.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was going to ask. My next
So,
question.
I mean,
not to cut you off.
I was going to say, it combines the big program. It combines the loud program. It combines that rock steady. It combines all the mental acuity, you know, in memorizing the lines and the blocking and all this other stuff. So I have to move large on stage. I have to speak loud on stage. I have to remember my lines, right? So all of these things that these Parkinson's programs are providing, I'm getting that all in one place.
Yeah.
And that's the stage.
Yeah.
And the way that I go about it, so I don't know if you heard one of Michael J. Fox's, right? He's the poster boy, right? So there was a point where he could ice skate, right? Playing hockey, and his symptoms disappear. Or, he gets up on stage and he starts playing guitar just for fun. And it's gone. That's what the stage is for me.
Yeah.
That is the one place where I can be all those things for all those programs all collected in one place and dive into a character to the point where my symptoms can go away at times.
Yeah.
Because
I bet you almost
those characters don't have Parkinson's.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're even just taking yourself out of your body almost.
Yeah.
And you're putting yourself into a new body.
It's a whole different thought process, putting all of those things together, and just for a couple hours during showtime, where it's like I am so exhausted, but I'm so worked up right now. Riding that adrenaline and the applause, and that's what I said, that's the addictive part, is you're feeling all of that high from finishing a show, and you're just like, oh man, that was perfect. Nobody missed a line. Nobody missed a cue. All the lights and the sounds, everything was perfect that night, and you're just riding that. Yeah. At the same time, you're totally exhausted and spent, and it's just like, I need to sleep right now. There's no way I'm sleeping right now.
And that probably helps too with, since you said like you have your two actors, going every other day, because that probably would be exhausting if you were to try to do all 4 days. Yeah,
that was the first time that I've ever done double cast, and I was very much appreciative. Yeah, because that show takes a lot out of you physically. Especially portraying
just
somebody.
In the high heels.
The heels themselves.
Were they really high heels or something?
They were 4-inch heels.
Were they?
I still have them at home. I kept them as a souvenir.
Did you?
And just laying it all out there, and just singing your heart out. Yeah. And just pouring all that emotion onto the stage, and just feeding it to the audience, and the audience feeding it back to you. Yeah. It's like nothing else, man.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to doing it for as long as I can.
Did you answer that? Have you thought about going to New York or something?
So that is
even 10 years or something, just to try it and say you did it, or
it might be. I don't know. It depends on
putting it out.
Yeah, I'm not like making that a goalpost, right? It's not like I need to do this or I'm a failure. Yeah. It's just sort of seeing where it takes me right now, and it's I've been fortunate to have the time and I guess capability to choose which shows I'm auditioning for. Yeah. Right. So like all these shows that I'm doing, there's a connection, right? So Wonderful Life and Clue and Rocky Horror and Murder on the Orient Express, those shows were all personal connections, right? Something that I enjoyed before I was acting, and knew, oh yes, I this is a story that I know, this is a story that I love, and I think I can portray it in a good way. Yeah. And then the shows that were completely new to me were a director saying, "You were good in that last one. You should come out and audition for this." I don't know anything about it. Well, look it up. Learn what the story is.
Okay.
And if you have a connection, come on out. I want you to read for this part.
Okay.
Show me what you got. And so, I'll do my research and I'll read the part and, oh yeah, I can see a connection there. I can see where I can put myself into that role.
Okay.
And there's plenty of theater people who they're like, I have to audition for everything. It doesn't matter. I need to get out there. I need to do this, because this is my lifelong dream. I have to do this. And they'll go for anything, but they're not getting anything. And, it's because they're spreading themselves too thin.
Yeah.
At least that's my perception.
Yeah.
They're saying I have to try out for everything, and so they're not ready for that one thing that is perfect, right?
Yeah.
I've only tried for the things where it's like, yeah, I can see myself in that spot. I can see myself saying those words genuinely to an audience.
Yeah, I would say that makes more sense of how that role is going to produce something positive as opposed to just going, what do you need me to do?
Yeah. and every show needs an ensemble cast, right? Whether it's somebody just walking through the background, or they come on and they have 2-3 lines and then they're off and then they're moving set pieces. That's fine. It's been said that there's no small parts, because every part of the cast and the crew is needed to make that show good.
Yeah.
But if you are going for one specific role, you're like, I have to have this role because I have to.
Yeah.
Make sure it's something that you connect with. If you're just going because you're like, I need to be on stage. Okay, there are plenty of ensemble parts, right? There's plenty of chorus singing.
Yeah.
But if you really want that part, make sure it's something you connect with. Otherwise, you're selling yourself short as far as what your capabilities are, and you're selling the story short because you're not really bringing your A game. Yeah. That's my thoughts.
Have you thought about like going on the silver screen, I guess what they call it? That they're doing something.
So that is a whole different animal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You got to have your Screen Actors Guild card or your AFTRA card or whatever it is. And we were talking about this just before we started here. I did audition for a role in the re-release dubbed version of the original Star Wars. And if I had gotten that role, I would have needed a membership to the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which would have messed up this Act Fest program.
Really? How's that?
Because it has to be all
Amateurs?
amateur.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know that. How would they...
They wouldn't have let me
How
perform.
would they know, though? I mean...
Because, they can just go to the Screen Actors Guild and
Do they do
check
that?
their
I
name.
mean, they go, okay, who's here? I'm pulling up.
So I don't know how they
But they
enforce
could,
it.
technically, though.
But yeah, you have to sign a
says
form
you're
that says you're not part of the Screen Actors Guild. And because that makes you a professional actor.
Yeah.
And so they don't want the professional actors, they just want good actors,
Yeah.
The ones who work for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you always, seem to work with the same kind of actor and actresses, or... always...
I've been doing this 3 years now. There's been plenty of shows where I have worked with people over and over again, but I keep meeting new people.
Okay,
and that's fantastic.
Yeah,
And I seem to get along with every single one of them.
I bet.
You know, I'm just loving the
Everyone loves
the
you.
new
though.
family.
You always been one of the coolest dudes. So of course,
Yeah. I appreciate that. Not as cool as you with your fucking awesome tattoos and shit.
No, I don't know.
Oh, the next show I'm working on. So right after I'm done with the Act Fest thing, we start rehearsals for Sense and Sensibility.
Senses. Okay, I've seen that.
Sense and Sensibility, classic Jane Austen story. That one.
What role you got there?
So I am playing a couple of roles in that. The story itself is pretty big, but it's a lot of really small scenes, all sort of stuck together in a line. You know, it's like boom, 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 boom. So I am playing Colonel Brandon, who is a love interest, or wants to be, of one of the main character girls there. And then I also get to play Lady Middleton.
Lady Middleton.
So it's funny. The character of Lady Middleton is in so many scenes, but to have that many actors just milling around backstage is not really tenable in a small community theater. Twin City Players is a larger, mid-size, I guess, community theater, and they put on great shows. But the backstage space and the green room space is very small. So to have 20 people running around backstage, it gets a little congested and dangerous. So I'm playing Colonel Brandon and Thomas, one of the servants, Gossip, number whatever, and Lady Middleton. Well, there are 3 or 4 other people that are also playing Lady Middleton.
Okay.
So in different scenes, so if I'm in a scene with Lady Middleton, somebody else is playing Lady Middleton.
Yeah.
And if their other character is in the scene, I'll play Lady Middleton.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. The audition for that, we were just doing cold reading. So it's like, oh, we want you to read this part, you to read that part, you to read that part. And why don't you read Lady Middleton? Okay. I'm just here having fun, man. Let's have some fun. So I went full Monty Python, the classic, oh, how do you do? I don't see any crumpets on the table. Just full ridiculousness. Oh no, the batteries.
I think that's it. Let me see this one still. That's still going.
That's still going. That was still going.
We went full Monty Python.
Full Monty Python there. And I'm sure that on stage, having 3, 4, 5 other people playing that particular character is going to be fun and confusing.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be. Who's this now again?
Yeah.
That's Lady Middleton
again. Yeah,
or do they have like the same kind of outfit, or do you?
I don't know yet. We haven't gotten
the same ball cap.
We haven't gotten into the costumes yet, so I don't know exactly how that's going to work. But
it might help.
It's going to be fun. So that is coming up at the end of April.
Okay.
And then in the meantime...
What's the one next week, the competition?
So that is the Act Fest competition at Bay City Players. That's on March 1st. If we win the state, then we move on to the regionals, which is in Owasso in middle of March.
Okay.
And then if we win the regionals...
Did you say you...
Same show.
Okay.
So A Measure of Cruelty by Joe Calarco. Thanks, Joe. If we win in Owasso as the regionals, then we move on to the nationals in Des Moines.
Okay.
Iowa apparently is a big theater place.
All right. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Not much else there.
Yeah, just cornfields and a theater.
Yeah,
that's all there is.
That's all we need. Yeah.
In the meantime, we start rehearsals for Sense and Sensibility. And then while I'm rehearsing for Sense and Sensibility, there are auditions for Rent and Chess at the Ghostlight Theater in Benton Harbor.
Okay.
Both big musicals. I'm really more focusing on Chess and hope I get that one. It's a great Cold War era story about, you know, the United States and Soviet Union sort of playing out their global politics in international chess. And it's a whole musical. It's fantastic. Check
I
it
want
out.
to say I've at least seen something about that.
Yeah, definitely check it out.
It's been around. I mean,
Yeah, the show's been around
Okay.
for quite some
yeah, I
time.
want to say.
And it's
Was
a
it
big
movie too, though.
I don't think there's a movie.
Okay.
I mean, they may have something similar.
Yeah,
Similar.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, I mean, think about was it Queen's Gambit,
yeah, that's
right?
pretty cool.
Same sort of vibe, where you know you've got characters that are competing just playing chess,
Mhm.
but their handlers have politics involved,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there's that one, and then
What part are you going for that one?
uh,
Or you don't know?
the part is Malikov.
Okay.
He's a Russian handler for the chess.
Now, what made
Masters.
you want to?
The director asked me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I did Rocky Horror Show last year, and the director from that, Paul Mao, great job, Paul, said, "Hey, have you ever heard of chess?" I was like, "No idea." He's like,
It's a game where you.
"Yeah." He's like, you know, maybe come out and audition for that.
Cool.
All right, I'll give it a
Hey,
shot.
yeah, I mean, if the director's asking you to do something,
That's
I mean,
right. And so, you know, I'll at least go out. I'll give it my best shot. And if they like what I got, then you know, that's on for August. And then
August, so that's still way.
yeah, so it's still a ways out.
The chess one.
Yep, for chess. And then things are looking good right now to reprise my role as Dr. Frankenfurter
Oh,
for Rocky Horror Show at the Ghost Light again at the end of October.
that's cool. Heck
Yeah, they're doing a short 5-day run, and yeah, hopefully I'll be involved with that as well.
Heck yeah.
So that brings me out to almost the end of the year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and all of that because I accidentally went to support my child in community theater.
What are they doing now? I mean, are they still doing stuff, or have you just taken over? Like, Dad, you're.
Yeah, well, stage fright kicked in for them pretty good.
Oh, really?
And then, you know, as they're getting older, they're trying to,
Do
you know,
different things.
get their life solidified in what they want to do and the path that they want to take.
Yeah.
But you know,
you don't try and help them over stage fright, or
I do. I still.
how do you? What's your trick? You got any tricks to calm the nerves, or just like you said, just get in? Know this is that character, and this is not me, and this is
Yeah,
something else.
that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I mean, once you get on the stage and you don't screw up your first line, keep moving.
It's kind of like
just
muscle,
keep moving.
muscle memory.
Yep.
Almost.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what the rehearsals are for, right? It's to get that memorization, to get that muscle memory, to get that comfortableness being on the stage.
Yeah.
And honestly, with the lights in your face,
You don't see much. Do you?
you don't see much of the audience.
Yeah, that's
You-
kind of weird too.
You hear them laugh,
Yeah.
you hear them gasp, you hear them, you know, coughing or having a phone conversation. And at that point, if all they're doing is having a conversation with the person next to them or talking on the phone, God forbid, at that point you're just pissed off at them, right? And it's like, I'm not nervous to be up here. Now I'm just mad at you because you're talking shit while I'm trying to do my thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I mean, honestly, the hardest part is the audition. And when I auditioned for Star Wars, I was waiting and stressing because I wanted it so bad. So bad.
Yeah.
You know.
I can only imagine.
Like, if you had the chance to get into a Star Wars anything, and you know,
I would lose a limb.
you know you had a shot,
Yeah.
you'd be waiting by the phone. Just, oh, no, it's not them. Nope, no, it's not them.
Yeah.
Fuck, why aren't they calling me? Why aren't they letting me know one way or another? Something, you're stressing. I was tearing myself up inside because I wanted it so bad, and they weren't moving at the pace that I wanted them to.
Yeah.
Because with smaller theater, it's like, oh yes, I've done my audition. We'll let you know by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Right? So I did the Star Wars audition and sent my recording in, and it was 3 months.
Really, yeah.
Where they were picking people out and you know zeroing everything in, and not calling anybody. Right? Everybody found out at the same time, but it was 3 months down the road.
Yeah.
And so I was stressing, and you know, I have a community group on Facebook for voiceover actors, because you know it's fun.
You ever do that then too?
I've done a couple just for funsies, but not. Yes, I'm doing commercials now. Although people tell me, "Oh, you got a voice for radio." It's like, oh yeah, I hear that a lot. Thanks. But it's never been something that was like right there readily available. So it's like, and kind of set in my ways. Thanks.
Yeah.
But for funsies, I've done a couple of things. But that group taught me the most important lesson about acting. The audition is the job. You go to the audition, you give it everything you got. After that, it's out of your hands. And whether you get picked or not for that role or that gig, it's not because you sucked, it's because the directors have a vision, right? They have a certain look or sound that they're going for. And while you may have done amazing, it wasn't the sound or look that they wanted for that thing.
Yeah.
But getting out there and giving it your all in the audition opens you up for other things down the road.
Yeah.
Right? So you may not have gotten that one particular role.
Yeah.
But now they have your name and they see your skill level and what you can do.
Yeah. They know.
And so
You might be fitting this other.
exactly.
Yeah.
So until you actually book that gig, until you actually get that role, your only job is the audition. And that is what you are gearing up for. That's what you're preparing for.
Yeah.
Once you have the role, everything is laid out for you.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, here's your lines, here's your costume, here's the light, this is where you have to move on stage, you do this, you do that, you do that. The audition is where you have to do the work to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Right? To make them go, I can see it. Let's get that guy.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all interesting. That's why I like having these interviews. So learn all these different insights and all that.
I can share something that's maybe even halfway interesting.
No, it has been very interesting. Heck yeah.
And I got a free Pepsi.
Glad you.
It is free, right?
Well, yeah. No. No, but yeah, glad to see you doing well in that, and it's actually helping you in many ways, and not just good feeling, but
Yeah.
It's what's this?
Therapeutic.
Therapeutics. Yeah, like I said, I forget words too, but no, that's good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
And happy and all that stuff. So
Yeah, and I'm still just having fun, man.
yeah, that's all we can do in life.
That's right.
Not take it too seriously, I say, but yes.
Yep. Yeah, and the bonus is that I get to meet a lot of great people and make people feel things.
Yeah, that's where you said the greatest feeling is giving someone an emotion that's they didn't wake up in the morning and expected they're going to find, and they're going to bed with a different emotion.
Yep. Get them in the feels.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah. Anything else?
Also, Sense and Sensibility. I believe that is April 25th.
And where's that
That's
at?
at Twin City Players
Twin
in
City Players.
St. Joseph. And then, hopefully, after that is Chess at the Ghostlight Theater in Benton Harbor. That'll be towards the end of August. And then Rocky Horror Show again at Ghostlight Theater at the end of October.
Heck yeah. That's going to be awesome.
All right, how do you wrap it up here?
We just say thank you for coming, bud.
Thank you for coming, Bud. No, it's
It's an honor, yeah. You came up a long ways, and I thought you were still somehow
just down the street, man.
down the street on Cross Street.
Yeah, Cross Street. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, good times.
Yeah. You're always welcome back anytime, and you got to give me updates of how it all went.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, if I'm doing Rocky Horror Show this year, I'm going to get your tickets.
Well, I will watch my first Rocky Horror Show with you being the star.
Fantastic.
Couldn't think of any better time.
Deal.
Cool. Appreciate it.
All right, now we just walk off stage.
Yep. Just.
Bye, everybody.
Dear God, send me someone